In this video, I'm going to be doing a market update on the Oklahoma City metro area. All of the data that I'll share in this video was pulled from my local MLS on November 13th, 2023. And none of this information should be considered as financial advice. This is just the facts, the data about the current market in Oklahoma City, as well as my opinion on what is contributing to some of these numbers that we're going to be discussing today. My name is Ben. I'm a lifelong resident of Oklahoma City, and I get contacted every day from folks like you who are looking for help to make their move to this area. If you're considering a move to Oklahoma City or one of the other surrounding suburbs, whether that's in a week, a month, a year, whatever your time frame is, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text or an email, and let's begin the conversation and figure out which neighborhood or which community would be perfect for your family. You can find all my contact info in the description down below this video. And if you enjoy this content, if you are getting value out of it, it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. That way you can see more content like this in the future. So without further ado, we're going to dive into the data and take a look at what's going on in the Oklahoma City real estate market right now. All right, let's dive into the data and take a look at the current market in the Oklahoma City metro area. So I've got my local MLS pulled up here. As you can see, we are looking at Oklahoma City and we are looking at median sales price. Now, at the time of this recording, the median sales price in Oklahoma City is $215,000. I'm recording this in mid-November 2023. And this is typically a slower time of year for real estate for a few different reasons. One is that a lot of folks are kind of shifting their focus toward the holidays. They're going to be hosting parties or visiting family out of town. And so home sales decline a little bit in the last few months of the year just because of that natural time when people are focusing on other things. And we typically see home sales pick up in the spring and then get really hot in the summer as people are trying to make their moves before the next school year starts. So you can see that as of the latest data, which is the MLS data goes month by month. So the latest data we have is from the month of October. $215,000 is the median sales price. You can see that it peaked over the summer in July at $244,198. And then we see that natural tick downward as we enter the last quarter or the last few months of the year. Now, why would we look at median sales price versus average sales price? If we quickly switch over to the average here, you can see that the current average is $263,571, which is a far cry from the median sales price of $215,000. So why the difference? Let's break that down just a little bit here quickly. As you may remember from school, we get averages by taking all of the numbers in a data set, summing them together or adding them together, and then dividing by the total number of numbers. So for example, if we had 100 houses, we would add the price point of all 100 houses together and then divide that number by 100. Now, if there's a house at the extreme end that's worth 10 times more than all of the other houses in our data set, that's going to skew the number when we look at that average. Let's say, for example, just for easy math's sake, that we have 98 homes out of that 100 that are worth $300,000 at fair market value. And then we have 2 homes out of that set of 100 that are worth $3 million. Obviously, that's going to skew the average when we add all of those numbers together and divide by 100. When we take the median price, we're literally looking at that bell curve of value and plucking out the very middle price point. So that's going to give us a more accurate representation of what a fair market value might be for a typical home in a given area. But if we look at the median sales price, we're literally taking the middle value out of that bell curve, that chart, and getting a value from that. So again, median sales price in Oklahoma City at the time of this recording, $215,000. Now you can see here this natural market cycle. Here is the beginning of the year, January of 2022. So this is actually almost 2 years ago now. You can see how the prices increase. Let me move my face here. The price peaks here in the summer, and then it begins to come down in the fall and winter. This is a typical cycle that we see every year, right? So here it goes up again in spring of 2023, peaking in July, and then coming back down. Now, another interesting fact about the market that we're currently in is that in addition to these yearly cycles where prices ebb and flow, go up and down, there is also what we call a macro cycle, which is many years of movement. The macro cycle has a similar kind of up and down nature. And we happen to be currently at the bottom, the trough of the 10-year cycle. So we can expect that as we go into the as we go into the spring of 2024, home prices are going to begin to rise, and we're going to be coming out of the bottoming of that macro cycle as well. Another factor that's at play here is the interest rates environment that we are currently in. Because interest rates at the time of this recording are getting close to 8%, in my opinion, that is slowing down some people from listing their homes for sale, from putting their home on the market. Because if I've got a mortgage at 2.5% or 3%, I'm not going to be as likely to sell that home, even if I've got a ton of equity, because then I've just got to go out and borrow money at 8% to buy my next home. So we have a lot of sellers who are interested in selling, who are thinking about selling. I talk to these folks every day. They say, yeah, I want to sell my home and buy another one, but I don't want to trade my 3% interest rate for an 8% interest rate. So that is also contributing to the current market environment that we are in right now. Let's take a look at some other numbers here on the MLS. Let's go to days on market. And for the remainder of this video, I'm going to stick with median numbers. Now that we've kind of delineated median versus average, we understand that median is a more typical representation of a typical home in the market. So median days on market at the time of this recording is 13. Now, we peaked back here in February of 2023 at 21. And you can see that as we went into the spring and summer months, that days on market number went down. That is inversely correlated to the median sales price. Why is that? As demand increases, the price also increases because supply has remained the same or potentially even shrunk. So with more demand, we're going to see buyers paying more money, paying a premium for a home, and those homes are going to be going quicker. They're not going to last as long on the market. So you can see this inverse correlation where the price goes up during the spring and summer months, but the number of days on market actually goes down because there is higher demand for the inventory that is available. Taking a look at months supply. Now, this is a very interesting statistic to look at because a typical, what we would consider healthy market would have about 4 months supply of inventory available. We are currently sitting at 2.2, and we've been sitting at that number for a few months now. Now, that is an improvement from the month's supply that we saw back in January, February, March. But again, this is still considered a low number. Now, the reason I want to kind of camp out on this for a moment is because this can help us understand the supply and demand economics that are at play in this current real estate market. So yes, it is a seller's market right now, even in spite of high interest rates. Why is that? It's because inventory is lower than the demand that we have out there. The supply has not kept up with the demand. That is primarily a result in my opinion, of coming out of the pandemic crisis that we all went through a few years ago, where you may remember that the cost of goods went way up. So the cost of lumber and all of the things that go into building a home, those prices went way up. The supply chain issues caused fewer homes to be built during that time. And builders are still trying to sort of dig out of that hole that we got ourselves into when there was a period of time where we couldn't get lumber to build homes because of the supply chain issues. So all of that to say, we have more demand than we have supply right now. And if you remember anything from your supply demand economics class in school, it's that when demand is higher than supply, the price is going to go up. So even though interest rates are higher right now, one would expect that with a higher interest rate, that might ease down the price of a home. But because the supply is so low, there's not enough supply to meet that demand, the prices have remained high. So what do you think is going to happen when interest rates begin to come down, which they eventually will? What will happen when those rates come down and all of a sudden even more demand enters the market as buyers say, okay, interest rates came down 1 or 2%. Now I want to buy a home. Well, now there's additional buyers competing for that same limited supply. What do you think is going to happen to the price of homes in that scenario? In my opinion, it's going to go up. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, so we will see what happens. That is just one person's opinion. Let's look at the percentage of list price received in the Oklahoma City metro market. So median percent of last list price. So for example, let's say you list your home for $200,000 and you have an offer come in that is 90% of that, right? So the offer would be in that scenario $180,000. If you were to accept that offer in that scenario, you would have gotten 80% of your list price. Now, this is an important number to look at because it helps us understand, again, the supply and demand economics. It helps us determine, is this a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? If homes are going for close to what is being asked, then that is a sure indicator that we are in a seller's market. Because if I list my home for $400,000 and I sell it for $400,000 or more, and I do it quickly, then that means, again, that there is lower supply compared to the demand. So a percentage of list price received being close to that 100% means that we are in a seller's market. So let's look at it. Let's see where we're at. You can see we were just cruising along at 100% here since going all the way back to the start of the pandemic, right? Seller's market, seller's market, seller's market, 100% of asking price. And then we do have a small dip here. Now, I do want to emphasize this is a small dip. We see the percentage of list price received in October 2023 coming in at 99.8%. That is only a 0.2% decline from 100%. So although it is a small decline, yes, we are still in a seller's market. Now, that is an indication that the market is softening. Again, in my opinion, this is related to the natural annual cycle where sales dip during this time of year, during the last quarter of the year. So 99.8% of list price received. Let's take a look at price per square foot. This is helping us see what the value is of homes that are being sold in this area. So the median price per square foot in Oklahoma City at the time of this recording is $141. The peak for the median sales price per square foot in Oklahoma City back in July was $150. So again, we're seeing that natural decline that we would see every year. And if we look at these past years here, we can see this playing out. November of 22, we dipped down to a low in December of 22, and then we came back up through the spring, peaking in the summer. This is a typical cycle that we would expect to see every year. Let's take a look at just one or two more pieces of data for this video. So shows to pending, number of showings to pending contract. What does that mean? How many people walked through the home and took a look at it, and then an offer was not just made, but also accepted by the seller, and the home went under pending contract. At the time of this recording, shows to pending is at 8. On average, or on median, I should say, a home is shown 8 times before a contract is accepted on that home by the seller. Why is this important? Again, this goes back to supply and demand. In a buyer's market, we could expect to see many more showings than 8 before an acceptable contract was accepted by the seller. But in a seller's market, we're going to see fewer showings to pendings. This means that for buyers, there is more competition. If you go out and see a house and you love it, or you even like it, if you don't put an offer in on that house, there's a decent chance you're not going to get another shot at getting that home. Because again, 8 showings to pending contract right now means that if 7 other people walked through that open house that you went to this weekend, chances are there's going to be an offer accepted on that house this weekend. Looking back at some of the past data, we can see the peak of showings to pending was of this year was in April of 2023, and that was 11 showings to pending. Let's take a look at this number back here. So March of 2022, it took 14 showings to get a home under pending contract. Now we're going to take a look at one more piece of data here for this video. What we're looking at now is closed sales. So this is the number of sales that closed in the month that we are looking at. So again, I'm recording this in November of 2023, and the number of closed sales from the most recent data we have for the Oklahoma City market, that most recent data, again, because it's reported on a monthly basis, it's from October, and that number is 456. So yes, the market has slowed down, but there were still 456 closings just in Oklahoma City in the month of October. That doesn't include the other surrounding areas. Again, we can see this trend similar to median sales price. We can see the same trend happening with closed sales, where it peaks in the summer and then it falls back down going into the winter months. We can see a bottoming here in January of 326 sales that closed in the month of January, and then a peak of 651 in June of 2023. Now, that's all we're going to dive into for the data on the Oklahoma City market for this video. If you got value out of this, would you consider giving it a like? That really helps the algorithm to push this content out to more people so that others who might be interested in what's happening in the Oklahoma City real estate market can have a chance to view this information as well and be educated and learn about what's happening in this market. And if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe down below and tap the notification bell. That way you will get notified every time I post a video, and you can stay current on what's happening in this market. And lastly, if you are considering a move to the Oklahoma City area, I'd love to help make that as smooth as possible for you. You can reach out. My contact information's in the description down below. I'd love to begin a conversation with you. Again, as I mentioned before, whatever your timeline looks like, let's go ahead and start the conversation. Let's figure out which community, which neighborhood would be perfect for your family. Thanks so much for watching this video. Remember, until next time, with living in Oklahoma City, your dream home is just around the corner. I'll see you in the next video.